Okay, so we're just gonna wait a couple minutes before we start.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for everybody for joining us today. I like so little ground rules. If you have any questions, feel free just to answer them. Put your questions in the Q&A button. There should be a button on the bottom of your screen, and you could be able to put your questions in here during tonight's Ask an Agent. So I'd like to introduce our lender today, Sonia Huang from the Loan Story. Can you introduce yourself, Sonia?
Hi, I am Sonia Huang from the Loan Story. I'm a mortgage broker and I have been in the industry since 2001. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Clarence, for inviting me.
Okay. I'm Clarence Madrilejos. I am a realtor with Compass, and I've been in the industry working in on with helping people buy and sell for about 15 years now. So yeah.
Yes, awesome. So I think right now it's a very interesting market. There's so much to talk about. Would you like to start it with some market update for the real estate?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a kind of an interesting market we've seen the last couple of months. We're just looking at a small snapshot just in Santa Clara County, which is pretty much I like to call Silicon Valley, but most people think it's Silicon Valley. So last month we had about 1,469 new single-family homes coming in the market, and last month about 920 homes closed escrow, and that median sales price is about 1.8 million for a single-family home. Things are still moving relatively quickly for the ones that are definitely in getting a contract and selling. The average days in the market right now is around 9 days. But at the same time, month over month, home values have single family homes have declined by 5.3%. But if you're looking compared to last year, from June of last year, home values did increase. Currently, it is 4.3 compared to the same time last year. So there's definitely been a lot more activity. There's a lot of equity gains that has happened since the beginning of the year, and that's kind of reflected in terms of the higher gains of price compared to the same time last year. So anyway, Sonia, I there's been a lot of things happening in the mortgage market. So what's the latest things that we should be aware about in mortgages?
Yeah, for mortgage, it's no news that the rate has gone up quite significantly this year. And most likely the Fed may increase another 3/4 by the end of this month. So I would suggest that for people who are in the market to buy, this might be a good time if you are thinking to lock in the rate before the rate keep going up. But also we want to compare that sometimes even so we know that the rate has gone up, we should look at the monthly payment because rate-wise, it's still roughly around 4 to 5%. Maybe sometimes it may extend to 6%, but it's still better than what we had before in early 2000 to 2008. So if we look at the monthly payment, some buyer may be surprising to know the mortgage is still in line with the rent they are paying. So if you are still thinking to buy, let's just look at the numbers instead of being shocked by the news every day about the rate.
Okay. So, we do have some questions here from the audience, and the first question I see here is, by the way, Sonia, if you see anything that you'd like to answer from the questions, let me know.
Yes.
By the way, the 30-rate fixed rate mortgage is this is kind of like the thing that a lot of us have been looking into for years. With the higher interest rate, for the average home buyer, does a 30-year fixed rate mortgage make sense for certain folks?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So before, when the rate was so low, most people get 30-year fixed because it's really no difference than short-term ARM. But right now, since the rate keep going up, for low amount that's over 650,000, the short-term adjustable rate is much more attractive than 30-year fixed rate. While for smaller loan amount, for example, loan amount below 650,000, 30-year fixed rate mortgage might still be a better option because the rate is lower than adjustable. So it really depends. But yes, for people who has a larger loan amount, short-term amount is a great option.
Okay.
And I actually see a few people asking about, since the rate has gone up, does that affect buyers who want to maybe pulling back from getting into the housing market? Did you see any trend?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, since the rate's been going up, a lot more buyers who were very aggressive have pulled back a bit. And in terms of, because a lot of them are usually at the cusp of either qualifying for that price of home because as rates go up, their buying power shrinks down a bit. So the ones who are priced out have pretty much had to reassess their buying strategy, and because of that, they had to pull that back. But I do have some buyers out there because they're getting close to the point where they couldn't afford, that they're becoming a little bit more aggressive in terms of their going out to the market. But as rates go up, more and more will be going off because there'll be more and more losing their buying power.
That's right. So actually since we're talking about buyers, I just want to add on to that because the rate has gone up. So if you have holding on the same pre-approval for a long time, maybe it's time to revisit your pre-approval and make sure you still qualify for the same purchase price. And if not, make sure you know what the new number is so you don't get any surprises.
Usually when should somebody start taking a look at it? Like, I know rates go up on a consistent basis. I mean, from like, let's say I got pre-approved today at one rate, at what point do you start to really think about when the rates hit a certain number about coming back just to make sure and double check the numbers are correct?
So I would say definitely a good time to double check the pre-approval is before you want to make the offer. I think that's the best time to update all the numbers before you actually hang in the offer so that there's no surprises to all parties. Okay.
Definitely we talked about a little about the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, and I see some questions here. So is the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, 30-year fixed rate, let me rephrase this in terms of I've seen the question here. What would be the best first-time home buyer mortgage program out there? I mean, we talked about a little bit about a 30-year fixed rate. We talked a little bit about ARMs briefly. Now, what would make the most sense for a first-time home buyer?
Okay, so there are all kinds of programs available for first-time home buyers, and I guess most first-time home buyers are worried about down payment. Traditionally, most people think we need to have 20% down, but I actually just pre-approved a homeowner She's looking for a purchase price about 700,000. She does have enough assets to put 20% down, but she doesn't want to. She wants to put a 10% down so she can save the another 10% for future, say, for emergency funds. Then we price out the mortgage insurance for people who have less than 20% down. In her case, it's like $70 additional monthly payment, which is not much compared that she have to put additional 10% down, which is 70,000. So that's a good thing. And also there are many down payment assistance programs available out there. They are designed mostly for low to moderate income borrowers, but the county income limit for medium income is actually pretty high now for Santa Clara County. I believe it's 150,000-ish for moderate to medium, low to moderate income. So it's extended the limit to help more people. So definitely a good tool to look at if you're yeah. So since we are talking about buyers, maybe it's time to switch the role and look at sellers. So I have two questions about sellers I want to ask you. So since buyers may withdraw in this high interest rate, do you see that sellers may consider drop the purchase price to attract more buyers? And also my follow-up question is, why sellers are considered selling now in this market? So two questions.
So let's start off with the first question. Why would a seller consider selling now? I mean, there's definitely a number of reasons why a seller would even consider selling at all. One is that they're moving out of the area, need the money to buy another home. They're like need to cash out their rental properties because they feel like they can do a 1031 exchange for somewhere else. So there's a lot of different reasons why they will want to sell. But if you look in terms of raw numbers, in terms of like why even go now? Why instead of delaying it further? It's just a question. We just don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months, or even the next year. But what we do have information about is that, we hit the peak in the market probably around April of this year, right? Roughly around the time when rates were announced that they were increasing at very large increments. So we got so much gain back then, and depending on the area, what part of the country you're in, there's definitely a month-to-month decline in terms of home values, ranging from as low as 2% to as high as I've seen it maybe like 4 to 6%. But we compared our current value of homes that sold last month to what sold 12 years earlier. There's so much gain in terms of equity between June of this year and the June of last year. So it's a question more like, and you need to maximize what's left of the gain that was accumulated since April. And then you look about to last year, it's definitely higher than last year. So so that's what the biggest factor is. Like if you're trying to maximize how much you can net, this probably make the most sense.
That's right.
So also, what in terms of the first question you answered about, are we seeing more sellers doing a price reductions? First of all, we don't like to necessarily call it price reductions. We're calling it reassessing the strategy. I
like that. Yes.
We are seeing some homes that reducing their advertised price. Keep in mind, the advertised price may not be what the actual value of the home or what they may get into contract for. And because they're lowering down their advertised price to a lower dollar amount, it's to try to attract a different pool of buyers. So when you go down to a significant amount, a different pool of buyers will be pulling that information off various sources like the multiple listing service, Zillow, Realtor.com, even the brokerage websites will show up as to a different potential buyers that who are looking at that particular price point. So, for example, the pool buyers looking at 1.6 million, and below is smaller, is uh, is smaller than a pool of buyers that are looking at 1.5 and below. So it's a significant increase of potential buyers you could be able to look who is looking at the higher, at a lower price point.
Right. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. You know, I know you is there, you know, people still like to go the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Okay. And but is there a way to make the 30-year fixed rate mortgage more affordable? I mean, I've heard stories about, you know, paying points and other
Mhm.
things that try to make it more, the monthly payments affordable for them. And what's your thoughts?
So thank you for that question. I actually just checked earlier. So I thought for loan amount below 650,000, you can see that's a magic number. For loan amount below that, actually to pay point to buy down rate is very affordable. So you may pay less than 1/8 of point to buy down 1/8 of rate. So it could be considered compared to what the actual loan amount is, you may actually have a savings in the long run. But for a larger loan amount, over 650,000, it may be more expensive to pay point to buy down. So it's definitely case by case. You need to consider how much you have to pay to lower that 1/8 of rate, which can be just $30, $40 a month, or it could be a couple $100 a month. So we just have to see the potential savings in long term. But you are right. For 30-year fix, for a loan amount below 650,000, it's very affordable, and it could be a very good strategy to buy down the rate.
Okay.
So I have heard you share the market, and I know you have been doing this for a long time for your clients. So I just wonder what kind of tools you use for buyers looking for houses in the market. For example, maybe they are the houses that's not even listed,
Yeah.
or maybe the newer reduced price houses. So do you have any tools I can use?
Yeah. So that's a good question. You know, luckily a lot of things are definitely a lot of these brokerages, even my firm has a number of tools that makes it easier for us to be able to search for homes that one have a price reduction or just got into your price point. No, the way we set up our search and notification systems, we're able to do that. So that's one. That's pretty easy. Every firm should be, every agent should be able to do that. And it's a question of what else they can do. That may be a consideration. So, and every agent is different in terms of their strategies that involved. One thing is that being with my firm, we know some of our listings before it even hits on as an active listing out on the public portals like Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com. So that way that gives my clients an edge in terms of getting first opportunity to take a look, or
Right.
start thinking about, you know, realistically. And a lot of times these sellers that are coming soon may be open to have somebody take a look at it, make an offer before it hits an open market. So it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that we have to consider it. Another thing that we do in terms of trying to find hidden inventory is that we look from other non-traditional sites in terms of you know, for sale by owners, for example, Craigslist, and that may pop up, but it doesn't happen that often, and the reliability about those type of buyers are almost type of sellers are kind of questionable sometimes. That's the reason why it's important for me to follow up for my clients and double check, see how credible that particular advertised home not on the MLS is. Another thing that we do is that we have a tool called that helps me identify all the agents who had done business, who have had a listing around an area that you're interested in. Or let's say that you recently you know, made an offer on a home, didn't get it. So one thing that I'll do is around that home, I'll see who else had homes sold listings in the past and see if they have anything coming up. So that way that we'll try and hit every possible option for our clients. So those are some of the different tools that we have available and strategies in order to find both homes that reduced their price, homes that got into your price point, and also homes that are not being actively advertised on the multiple listing services and other real estate portals.
Wow, that's great, because we really need to know the updated inventory and data. So thankfully you have all those information ready. So I think that wrap up my questions for you for today's webinar.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody else posting any other questions. So, anyway, so for folks out there, both Sonia and I will be doing this every single month. The next one's coming up in August, and it's August 4th at 6 p.m. And if you have any questions, we'll be here to answer them. And especially if you still are in the research stage, and this is a good way to be able to get your questions answered directly from an agent and a loan consultant, so you can get a better idea of how when you like to move forward.
Okay. Great. So nice to see you, Clarence, and thank you, everybody.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.